Happy Women's Day and Happy Women's Month, because without women, you can't be. I'm not Andrew Tate. I'm not Kevin Samuels who's saying we need men, we can survive on our own. No, we need women. Cyril Ramaphosa is supporting a foreigner in our country. So till now we won a flag and the national anthem. And in South Africa, I've asked this question, especially to white South Africans. Why is it that white people in South Africa, they find it comfortable to accommodate foreigners, to employ them? We'll shake hands the same way as Afrikaners and white people from UK, Britain shook hands with the guys, yeah man, if we're in a good spot, we fought, but now let us build. I thought that would happen post 1994 when Mandela came in, but the hatred amongst the two races is still strong. Without economic power, but at least the Afrikaners, they did something about that. They built from scratch. And today, all these BE guys, all they do is to buy alcohol, they create a slave queen culture, they're buying cars, they live far away from us. I'll continue to say he's the worst president. The worst president in the world. The worst president. Think of any president, even during World War I, World II. This is Ike Khumalo, live with Ike Khumalo. One more time, back here with a bang. There's so many things happening here in South Africa, and so many people, they are catching up to some of the issues that I have raised, especially the issue of foreigners. I've listened to some of the people who are pan-Africanists. Look, I also started as a pan-Africanist, but pan-Africanism doesn't say the poor, from another country must go occupy South Africa, because this is what is happening. And isn't it funny that the people who are preaching African unity, pan-Africanism, they killed their own, who were advancing that theory, Bo Thomas Sankara, Bo Lumumba. Yet today, they want to come to South Africa. Yet today, they are lying about the stats, saying they've helped us. About Nigeria, they're saying they contributed monies, gave to the ANC. Imagine Nigerians, scammers as they are, contributing money, to us. They scammed each other. And if they gave money to the ANC during apartheid, they must show us receipts. And even if they have receipts, they must go demand their monies, go to Thuli House. This country does not belong to ANC. There are so many forces who are fighting against apartheid, your PCM, your PAC, your UDF, so many trade unions, NGOs. There's so many people, of which the internal factor contributed mostly, Abusainyova generation. So this country doesn't belong to the ANC. The ANC, they've gone on for so long thinking they liberated us. They never liberated us. They were in camps. They never fired a bullet against Sadaf. They were drinking homemade beer in Lusaka. That's why when they came back, they were hobos. They had big tummies when they come back, So now, they're coming back, overloading us, I'm a foreigner, because some of them, they've got interest in some of these African countries. And right now, South Africans are waking up to the issue of a foreigner. It used to be called xenophobic. Check what is happening in our hospitals. I've learned today, they've arrested some of the Put South Africa First, Dudula movement, who are blocking foreigners from entering hospitals. Cyril Ramaphosa is supporting a foreigner in our country, of which it brings me to the question that disturbs me, the state of blackness. or the affairs zabantu abamnyama, black people. I mean, if you check the poverty level, kubantu abamnyama, I've got stats here, they'll say 64%, 2021, they say 64% of black people are poor. You compare to other races, Asians, for example, is 1%. And you check the provinces that are affected by poverty, Limpopo, Eastern Cape, KZN, and all these provinces, they've had a leader or a president. KZN, they had Jacob Zuma for 2 terms. Eastern Cape, they've had Umbeki for 2 terms plus Mandela. Today, they've got Cyril Ramaphosa. I don't think Cyril Ramaphosa is a Sowetan, and I don't take him as a Sowetan because I don't think at heart he thinks like us, abantu base Soweto. He's supported mainly in Limpopo, in Venda, because South Africa is a tribal society. Zulus from KZN in the main, they supported Zuma. Eastern Cape people, they supported Umbeki, no Mandela. So we think tribally. Tinema Lokshin, we don't have that mentality because we grew up together. We shared institutions, facilities, We don't have that tribalism. We saw tribalism is ngabantu bangaphandle when they become police officers, hospitals, government institutions. Tina, we join one another. We play soccer together. We use same transport. But the poverty rate abantu abamnyama is quite high, And the wealth, which is Guma households, it's 5% as opposed to other nationalities. And the cause of poverty is always, the same thing. Politics, social conditions, And the politics is disturbing in a sense that we keep voting the very same people who are disempowering us. I mean, check ANC, over 30 years. They've been in control. Even now, the percentage that they got, 40%, it's way too much. And then you check other movements that are in the GNU. I mean, they've got 90%. And all these political parties, they're not talking for South Africans. And South Africans is predominantly black and followed by other racial groupings. All of them, they are more like lobby groups for multinationals. And then you ask yourself, when is it that black people or the masses in South Africa, they're going to be free? I mean, when Afrikaners, they were given political power, they formed structures like a Brother Bond. They had the intention to eliminate Afrikaner poverty. By 1980, they declared they've done away with Afrikaner poverty. They aligned all major institutions to solving the Afrikaner poverty. I mean, by 1980, there were about 12,000 members at Brother Bond. You couldn't join a Brother Bond. You were recruited into Brother Bond. And they recruited influential people, vice chancellors, governors, rector, people who had influence. And they told them to align themselves, towards eradicating Afrikaner poverty. Those who were stealing, I'm not saying there was no corruption. People were stealing, but they told their own who were stealing, don't chow your money here in South Africa because you're going to upset other Afrikaners. Go to France. That's why they had Abu Island of the Lost Boys. Like Abu Bill Clinton, where they had islands, recruited young boys. Unlike our own black people like Bosodi, Bomamkhize, none of these people who got in there because they are so smart, Bo Petrus Motsepe, Bo Tokyo, but they are there flaunting wealth before the poor. I mean, when I grew up, we knew that you cannot eat before hungry people. But you've seen Abomamkhize dancing around. All these influencers on social media, many of these influencers, they are funded by these politicians. Some they're sleeping now these politicians. And what I hate in the main, these TV presenters, that our children admire. They don't say where the wealth come from. I mean, even if you're endorsing, a beverage, alcohol bottle, it's not enough for you to live, kwamanye suburbs like Boston City, driving Range Rovers, G-Wagons. They don't tell the youth, I'm selling my body to be where I am, which is my problem. So for black people to realize a freedom that we fought for, that our parents died for, not we died for, it's going to take a long time for us to say we are now free, we are now enjoying this country. I asked in the last episode, what is it that we enjoy as South Africans? When they say we are free, your country is rich, what is it that you enjoy? Other African countries, and I'm not sure, I wanted to say other countries such as UAE, they don't pay income tax. And their citizens, they are taken care of, the infrastructure. You can say, my country is rich, it has wealth, and I can feel it. If I'm working for a company that is rich, it should translate to you, even if you're a sweeper. But in South Africa, I asked, why are we paying income tax? There must be something that we are getting for free, that we fought for. I remember in the 80s, we fought for free electricity. Mandela came, said, you shall have free electricity, free water. But all those things that we fought for, things that we won, go battlefield, we lost them on the table, go Codesa. And today, everyone is questioning Codesa. Everyone is questioning issue of foreigner. I was there during Codesa. Some of us, we won, and of which I'm really upset about black people, because some of us, we cautioned them in Codesa. We knew where it was going. I remember back in the days, we used to analyze newspaper clips. We used to study about Margaret Thatcher, what are they saying, their intentions. When they first started, United States saying that they will create the biggest, army barracks there in Botswana, army base. We knew what was going to be the intention. And we studied that, but people said, okay, Ike, let these guys, go on, go Codesa. We lost comrades. Now this Codesa, which adopted a constitution that says the country belongs to everyone. So till now we won a flag and the national anthem. That's what we won. That's why when that guy called Ras Dumisani couldn't sing our national anthem, people were so mad. They went bananas because that's what we won. Inkosi Sikelel, Africa. What's in there? Rainbow Nation. To gain what? I mean, coming to Codesa, the terms were already there. We are moving to a democracy which is controlled by the multinationals. They sponsored this Codesa, but George Soros, the Oppenheimer project. And then us, when we got into power, we were given political power, the same way as the Afrikaners were given a political power without economic power. But at least the Afrikaners, they did something about that. They built from scratch. And today, all these BE guys, all they do is to buy alcohol, they create a slave queen culture, they're buying cars, they live far away from us, and that's it. And they're plugged into these white companies, nothing new. Show me a company, Kamampele Rampele, that we know, other than being plugged, given shares over there in a white company. It's a company ka Ramaphosa. Don't tell me Shanduga. Shanduga now, it's plugged in there. I remember when they started, Ngabo Jonik, Ngabo John Com. Show me a company ka Tokyo. Konje bathini le imvela phanda. You were given shares. to be bus boys. Yeah, as I was saying, ukuthi the Afrikaners, they were intentional and they had the will to solve the Afrikaner poverty as compared to these guys by ANC, or opposed to these guys by ANC, which are here to empower themselves. But I blame South Africans. We should have foreseen the signs when they were in exile, their leaders, the way they carried themselves, the way they treated their junior comrades, subordinates. These guys, they're not going to do anything of substance. I mean, they were living in luxury. Go London, Butabombeki. The children of the elites were there. And today, instead of coming up with solutions, sponsoring in young entrepreneurs, they will tell you about the national dialogue. And what's worse about the national dialogue, it doesn't have, the legal weight. It's even worse than Codesa. At least Codesa had binding resolutions that were taken into the final draft of the Constitution, interpreted in various laws, even though I'm saying they betrayed South Africans. Codesa, they handed this country to the multinationals, but at least they had binding resolutions, as opposed to people coming, talking about our issues. I mean, we have dialogues all the time, people calling talk shows. Thabo Mbeki had izimbizos going, from township to township. It's the same as when politicians, they are knocking, doing a door-to-door during elections, asking people, what is it that you want? They know. Thabo Mbeki did that. Mandela did that. Zuma did that. I mean, how many times can they do a door-to-door asking people ukuthi bafunani? They know. Nama commission of inquiry. I mean, some of us, we started to see a commission of inquiry, emerging kakhulu ngabo Goldstone Commission. Before that, beginabo Snyman Commission. Snyman Commission, which led to Robert Sobukwe, ukuthi ahlale longer in prison beyond, iminyaka yakhe lekumele ayihlale. And then what's in there? It has been comrades, given positions. Someone was asking me today, Ike, aren't you going to apply to be one of the board members, these bodies? I said, Gafan, they're employing their own comrades. And even if you are there, you have no influence. I mean, I applied to be a public protector. They knew, if they brought me in there, it was going to be hell. It was going to be hell because they know my position. And they know I don't take prisoners. And they know if they can't buy you, you don't have a scandal. They've got nothing to use against you. So this is where we find ourselves, Kuma National Dialogues. I don't know if you want to ask anything.
So, because he appointed a gift of the givers, was it the CEO or the founder, right? So, because last week on the podcast, you were talking about how they always use these NGOs to try and hide things or whatever it is that they do with them. What do you think of this? This is in regards to the national dialogue.
For me, it doesn't matter who they appoint. Even if they brought Jesus Christ himself, I don't think will change the trajectory. I mean, South Africa, the population is 63 million. And 63 million for me now is quite small. Actually, some people, they say it's more because there are people that are not accounted for. We've got the whole of Zimbabwe here. We've got Nigeria here. I mean, Nigeria has got almost 200 million people. And if you take 5 million, you bring them here. And they lie about stats South Africa. They operate njengalama NGOs. They don't tell us the real stats. But people who are in the know, they tell us good to know the people who are here illegally. They're more than 15 million. But they will come and say Zimbabweans are 280,000. No. Half of Zimbabwe is here. And if people are illegal, how do they know exactly? When they'll give you stats. Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, Lesotho nationals, Banga, Many of them are here, and we see them, empirical evidence, the destruction that they cause. I mean, almost every squatter camp is it's foreigners, illegal foreigners, not our people. The demographics are changing. I heard last time in one of the schools in town, the Zimbabwean delegation that was assigned by the same Zimbabweans. Imagine that in South Africa, because I think Barbara Creasy, I don't know whether it was Barbara Creasy, wanted to close some of the schools. They were saying Shona must become one of the languages being taught here. Why can't they go learn Shona in Zimbabwe? We did not struggle for Zimbabweans. They treat us with disdain when you're in Zimbabwe. If you drive across going to Zimbabwe, you'll be made to pay briberies. You'll be told, Guti, you don't have a radio license, you don't have insurance for this, you don't have reflectors, you don't have a reflector or a reflector jacket for your passenger, you don't have, you'll be made to suffer. But here, they drive willy-nilly easy. Mozambique, same story. And they even steal our cars. Our cars, ziengali. Mbalula said, if your car is in Mozambique, carry no more. Kerile. South Africa, if it's this superpower in Africa, of which I doubt, we're supposed to sanction in Mozambique. But we won't, because we've got greedy politicians with their partners in business, wanting to do business in all these failed states at our expense. That's why they sent our army to DRC, and we no longer have an army. And if South Africans think that we have an army, we no longer have an army. I hear, even in the Western Cape, you remember what they must bring in the army. They brought in the army there. They couldn't, maneuver around gang leaders, tsotsis. Our army generals, they don't inspire confidence. Our army soldiers, they're overweight to start with. I saw them during COVID and I asked myself, is this the South African National Defense Force or Konabanye somewhere? I mean, we saw in DRC, they were arrested by rebels, surrounded. And there is one thing that I normally say. It is wrong for women to be in the army, especially the front line. It is wrong. Imagine women captured in DRC. I had one guy, he was crying on the radio. He said, my wife is in DRC, my children are stressed, they're surrounded, by rebels and they've been captured and they're allowed to make telephone calls. Imagine you hear one day, because we know rape is used as a weapon during war. You hear with South African Defense Force women, they've been raped by rebels. Imagine that picture. It's traumatic, even for me sitting here. And you send them in the army. Some of them, they came back pregnant. Who's impregnating the soldiers, our female soldiers? The very same Tsotsis were in exile. I mean, we've never heard. But an American soldier, I know somewhere they cheat. And Nakon, I mean, if my wife, I had a wife, she becomes a soldier, I would know, Guti, I have failed as a man. Imagine your wife for 3 months, 4 months away from home. Ulala nobani. Ulala nobani. In an army. So for me, now call me a chauvinist. But I wouldn't allow that, because I know the generals, that's why they extend them. Imagine for 4 months, 5 months away from home. That's why some of them, they come back pregnant. So it is, what it is. That's where we find ourselves. But in South Africa, our population, you were saying?
I wanted to take it back to Dudula,
Yes.
right? So do you think that Dudula operation is working? Do you think that it's able to address the issues that Black people, more especially the ones in the townships and the rural areas that deal with all of these problems, problems on a daily basis, do you think that they're able to address that, or they're helping in any way, more especially with the recent struggles that they were able actually to maneuver for the Black people in regards to the hospitals and the clinics?
I'll tell you this about Operation Dudula. I understand where it comes from. I was there when they formed. I've never been a member, but the Operation Dudula, I love them. They're my brothers. In spite of whatever happening, in their circles, but I support their struggle, because the struggle se Dudula is struggle se South Africa. Dudula, they are doing what South Africans should be doing, making sure that our laws are observed. The hospital managers, they're supposed to arrest these illegal foreigners who are coming there. Let's say they treat them. It's fine, because the court said they must. But they shouldn't, if we follow the law strictly. They shouldn't. I don't know the power here. They shouldn't. Yeah, it's fine. Yes, I know that.
Is it recording?
It is recording. And Dudula is fighting for South Africans, because look, if we allow foreigners to come in here, their numbers unregulated, South Africans will become like foreigners in their own country. The politicians, when they advertise during elections, what is it that they're going to do for South Africans? Be it housing, school, access to education, hospitals, infrastructure, business opportunities. Foreigners that are coming, they're taking those things firsthand, tenders, and they give them deliberately so, knowing Uguti, these guys are untraceable, they're going to disappear, and who knows, these bureaucrats, they collect their monies on the other side. Look at Bree Street. They first they said a Zimbabwean, it disappeared. I don't think it disappeared. They know where he is. They went to collect their monies there. But and if we don't solve the question of foreigner, you're not going to solve South Africa's problems, because we don't have borders. It means now we must cater for the whole continent, because these guys, where they come from, they vote for dictators. And these dictators, instead of servicing them, they say, go to South Africa. Even Zimbabwe. If you can go to Zimbabwe, there was someone who was sick, a South African, they couldn't treat that person. He had to be, brought back here home. But if Dudula is closing the gap, the Zimbabweans, for human rights versus Zimbabwe, they are complaining, they are ministers. Imagine you complaining next door. Why can't you allow my children to eat? You look at the infrastructure destruction, cable theft, robots. Our streets and roads are dark now because of these illegal foreigners. There are new crimes that did not happen. Albinos being killed for body parts in massive droves. Prostitution. All our cities have dilapidated. All our cities are occupied 90% by foreigners. How is that possible that Johannesburg, where our parents used to work, these townhouses where our grandmothers used to clean as domestic workers, they've been called girls, garden boy. But when it comes to inheriting the infrastructure, the new pretenders, they're coming. We help you during apartheid. Where? Sudan was having a civil war from day one. Nigerians, they were fighting Biafra conflicts. The Hausas were fighting, the Igbos. All of them, they were fighting one another. In what world where they have helped us during apartheid? And if they did, it's minimal. Even if they did, we don't owe them. They must bring their hobos here, their grandmothers. All these guys, it's men. The Pakistanis, where are their women? Ethiopians, where are their women if they are refugees? They jump all these countries, they're coming here. So Dudula, I support Dudula. And it's unfortunate a person like Cyril Ramaphosa want to characterize it as a vigilante group, but he's not doing anything different from the ANC. Cyril Ramaphosa, I will continue to say, he's the worst president the worst president in the world. The worst president. Think of any president, even during World War One, World Two. Cyril Ramaphosa, he's the worst president. Robert Mugabe, at least he had, the heart to think of his people. He might have been a Skotani, he might have, acquired riches for himself, but he even, pushed for Zimbabweans here in South Africa, which don't expel my people here. Here in South Africa, the foreigners are killing South Africans. Cyril Ramaphosa goes to Nigeria to apologize because we are suffering because Cyril Ramaphosa has got MTN, the shares there. Because whenever we are complaining, Nigerians are selling drugs, in Nigeria, they are threatening South African businesses. So it means these guys are sent here to be problematic here. They don't want them in their own countries. Sometimes South Africa wants to deport people. They don't want to receive them. I know what would, be the solution to that. Sentence them. For 15 years, just for jumping the border. And when they release you into Kruger National Park, we go next to the lions.
We don't have enough space for prisoners.
For prisoners. I will arrest them. Even if we put up a camp, a special camp, there is money in this country. Next to the Kruger National Park. More escape on Genangalema.
But we don't have enough money, do we?
Is there money in the Kruger National Park?
Is there what?
Is there money in the Kruger National Park?
No, I would say I will set up camps. I need you say there is no money to create prisons. They're all over our prisons. I will set up camps. But
constitution inhumane?
If I was the president, whether voted or maybe I came by any other means, I will suspend the constitution. To be honest, I will ignore all the court orders. I will ignore all of them. They will go to court. Abo NGO, abo Zimbabwe diaspora. They will get, court orders, go constitutional court, because we've got the reactionary courts and judges. When they interpret our laws, they say everyone. And I'll tell you, the Freedom Charter, when they said everyone shall have access to education, the doors of education shall be open, for everyone or to everyone. Access to wealth, housing. They did not mean foreigners. They meant us here.
Why are they not amending it?
They won't amend it because they don't want to offend these guys that side. If they say a South African, how can Bushiri comes here? When the president of Malawi said, accept my people, Lesotho, accept my people, all these African countries, they're saying, guys, can my people work in South Africa? They want to come this side. So they don't want to offend these people because they are nursing their interest that side. You remember there was a time about Jacob Zuma, Nabombegi, when they were asked to go and mediate, go Burundi, go Rwanda, back in the days. Some of these dictators, go CAR, they gave them shares, go mines. And they brought our army. And those shares fell into private hands. We are not benefiting. What are we benefiting us from MTN, ShopRite, that side? Nothing.
So with what you're saying, Uguti, country leaders are cutting deals with politicians to get their citizens over here for work. That clearly shows that there's no work over there or no work opportunities over there. Would it not be then a great opportunity for a regular South African or more South Africans to go over there, more into Africa, and invest their money and start new businesses over there? Perhaps that would slow down the migration and increase Africa as a whole. What do you think, Ike?
They can go try. But investing your money in some of these African countries, it's a gamble. It's worse than playing pick six. You get in there, you invest your money. One day you wake up, there's a new dictator, there's a coup d'etat. Your money is gone down the drain. He'll tell you, you don't have deals with me. I've seen Americans going to Ghana, buying properties. They spent money buying properties. In no time, Government officials, they're coming, destroying those houses, but you don't recognize you. I saw one American guy was crying, he's going back to Atlanta. He's saying, I bought this property, bamthathele yona. Bambamba inkunzi. Because these guys, they have no ethics. The rule of law is almost non-existent. You can wake up tomorrow, your money is gone down the drain. They can go. Nababo MTN. Nababo ShopRite. They are threatened all the time. All these banks go, hey, you need to go. You need to go. It means you've built the infrastructure, they must take over. Mugabe talked about indigenization. Swaziland, I think they had something like that. I saw that one. Mamkize buying a club there. I'm told that in Swaziland, if you come and invest, automatically the king also has shares. I don't know how true is that, but I'm told. There was one guy called Shabalala Soweto. He went back to Swaziland, but he lost everything. He was one of the richest guys in Soweto and in South Africa. He was a rival of Maponi. They say he ended up in Swaziland. So investing that side, it's a waste. But for them to come here, it's none of my business. What is it that they do in their own countries? These guys, they've been liberated. Ghana, 1957, where they're waiting for South Africa to be liberated. We're just a small country. Zimbabwe, where they're waiting for us. Nigeria, where they're waiting for us. They've got oil. They've got minerals. Rich.
With the new Minister of Home Affairs being, a DA member and being white, do you think Ubutsi that's going to help?
You're scared to say white. Okay.
I am, man, because you released a video that said we need white people. Some people, they like the video. Others, they feel like,
It's
why
fine, but
are they not the chosen race? You know what it
doesn't mean you
means?
mustn't be critical.
So we do need the white people. We've got a new white Minister of Home Affairs. Do you have faith that he will, eradicate the foreigners as you had hoped all these years?
I don't think he will.
He's not part of the ANC, by the way.
I don't think he will. He's part of the DA.
GNU.
DA position, even if you listen to Helen Zille, even if you listen to Maimane when he was there, even now, they want foreigners to come in here. These are liberals. DA was formed by mine owners. They want cheap labor. They want cheap labor to come in here. And these liberals, many of them, I suspect they're taking instructions from these secret societies, these organizations, some of them based in Israel. I've seen some of these organizations moving from Israel, going to Scandinavia, welcoming refugees in a foreign country. They want to dilute other countries. They want to mix them up. In future, if you say, I deserve 10 rand per hour, they know that someone is going to come and take 5 bob or 2 cents. They want that. They're looking after their own interest. DA was formed to safeguard the interest of business. And in South Africa, we've got a problem. And the problem is simple. Black people have been voting the ANC. In South Africa, we are divided. We may call it a rainbow nation. And most of these companies, multinationals, they have this thing. These people are voting the ANC. Why must we employ them? And they're coming, claiming about labor rights. These companies, they want all these laws to be done away with so that they can hire and fire easier. And foreigners are there. And in South Africa, I've asked this question, especially to white South Africans. Why is it that white people in South Africa, they find it comfortable to accommodate foreigners, to employ them, even though these guys are killing them? Even though there are statistics within Sentin, when there's a gruesome crime, murder, it's a Zimbabwean, it's a Mozambican. But they continue to employ them. Someone, can I continue? You'll come up. I want to conclude this. Because white people have accommodated them. Even a boxer, the heavyweight boxer, I forgot his name, he was killed by a foreigner. Even universities, Nigerians, they are selling drugs to Afrikaner children, abusing them. They call it nuff, sex for drugs, enslaving them, prostituting them, but they accommodate foreigners. I know ukuthi between black South Africans and white people, they've got a history, antagonism. But I thought after elections, ukuthi we'll shake hands, the same way as Afrikaners and white people from UK, Britain, shook hands with the guys, yeah, man, you've been a good sport. We fought, but now let us build. I thought that would happen post-1994 when Mandela came in. But the hatred amongst, the two races is still strong. These guys are coming here, Bo Anania smart, raping white women. They go work in farms, cheap labor. And they come back at night, Zimbabweans. They're stealing the back, killing ubas, raping the missus. Their crimes are always murder, theft, and rape. And South Africans have never done that, even during apartheid when they were oppressed. The black South Africans have never done that, even when they were oppressed, they had a motivation. And what aches me, I am not that guy. When the stats are coming, they say blacks are killing white people, but they don't say it's Zimbabweans, it's Mozambicans, it's your cheap labor. This is self-orchestrated. Because maybe you don't want to employ a South African because of the, hatred between the two. I thought that we should be reconciliatory. Maybe you think that, what, why must I employ this guy? They vote the ANC anyway, so punish them. I'll take the foreigner to replace them. Yes.
That's not the reason why white South Africans don't employ black South Africans. I've actually asked this question a lot, and I've received the response, which I can't speak for all white people, but they say that, number one, South African black people are, to begin with, are indistinguishable from other African nationalities. So when a white person sees a black person, they don't think this is a South African black or this is a Malawian or Zimbabwean black. To them, you're just black, do you see? That's point number one when they're hiring. Number two, when they do get to the point where they can differentiate, they have noticed that the ones that are South African tend to be more lazy than the ones that are from outside, who are more committed, bakutele, and of course they're cheaper. So that is your answer.
If foreigners, they are so much hardworking, what stops them from hardworking in their own countries? These guys, they expelled white people in Zimbabwe in the 70s and the 80s. They expelled them, they killed them, they raped them. They did that again, 2000, 2001. Then white people fled Zimbabwe, Guma farms. The Zimbabweans are following them in South Africa, and then they're employing them. In Mozambique, the same story. They expelled the Portuguese. Portuguese came to South Africa, and they followed them. The Portuguese, when they're here, they employ their Zimbabwean, black workers, people who expel them in Zimbabwe. Nigerians, they brag and say, we expelled white people. Nigeria is black-owned, of which is multinational-owned. They are owned by multinationals, but they are here following them, following their apartheid structure. South Africans, they build this country. If they are so lazy, they build this country, the infrastructure, they were here. And South Africans, of course, their rates will be higher than somebody who came here illegal. It's like you comparing a car that is stolen and a car that has been manufactured in a workshop where there's labor cost, production cost, South Africans, of course, because they live here, they've got children here. So now it means it must be a race to the bottom, because we want to prove, South Africans are hardworking. You must all live in one room, 10 of us. Like Zimbabweans, leave 10 of us and they'll be filled using one bucket to prove you're hardworking. So it must be a race to the bottom. That's what the multinationals want, a race to the bottom. When you say, no, I went to school, I've studied for this, somebody comes, maybe with more qualifications than you, saying I'm taking 10 times lesser. That's what they want. It benefits them. They want a Cecil John Road, Cape to Cairo, like they did in Nigeria. They advertised 400 jobs for tellers at ShopRite. 5 million people applied. What right do you have If you're one of those 400 employed, what rights do you have? But they will tell you, listen, there are so many people who want to work here. If you don't want, you must take. And now you can see, you'll take anything. These guys bafuna ukuthi sebenzele noma yini njengabonyawuphe noma yini Hotman uzonginika noma yini, give me food, it's fine. The way Zimbabweans are coming here, some of them, they are claiming ukuthi I was a lecturer in my own country, but ube a garden boy. That's what they want. South Africans, they fought during colonialism. They fought apartheid. They fought the longest. And you cannot compare them to foreigners. The very same foreigners who killed white people in their own countries. But chasing them now, here. There's so many people who are hardworking in South Africa, like we did during apartheid. And to say that they cannot distinguish, it is a lie. Some people, they go look for employment. I saw that when we were going to companies. Nabo put South Africa first, accompanying it to Dudula. People would go to companies and saying, employ me, I'm Zimbabwean. I'm Zimbabwean. That's why in all these companies, kuma restaurants, they are Zimbabweans. Car manufacturing, Moyago Roslin, foreigners. Are you telling me they are not aware? Most when they do the admin, they can see. They can even see the IT is fake. Address. They're taking these people because they are cheaper. But in the end, these people are bad for a country. I mean, I thought it would be reconciliatory. I take note the importance that white people play here because they create employment. And in our education system, I don't know, after 1994, what the ANC did, because you no longer have artisanry. They've killed everything. They've destroyed everything that we had before. Our people cannot be, standing on their own. So that's where we find ourselves.
That's so interesting, man. So with white people, do you believe they still believe in South Africa? Or are they now looking at their own pockets? Because many of them are being offered citizenships in England. One of my friend's brothers-in-law got a citizenship from England, grew up in South Africa. Donald Trump is offering refugee. Do you honestly think a white person in his right mind who can see Cyril's economy and government would want to grow or even invest further into South Africa? Or are they now exploiting the last money that they can get out of the country so that they can just move on to back to the west side?
If I was white, I was also gonna leave. I was gonna leave the country too if I was white and there are opportunities outside. And living in a country that continuously antagonize me, in spite of our problems, problems of the past, the government of the day, the organizations that we have, they continuously antagonize white people. Of course, white people will feel the need to live unappreciated. I would leave, rightfully so. So, Mina, what I'm saying, Guti, let us work together. Let us not allow politicians, to divide us. We built this country, from back in the days. But the politicians are dividing us. And these politicians, they are not even genuine. They will sing, kill the poor, kill the farm. They don't mean that. They just want to get in. They want the doors to be opened. They use that, to irritate, to, instigate, arouse the masses so that the masses can be angry and use people's anger to say, you know what, if you don't transform, meaning if you don't let me in, these people, they will come and destroy this thing. Same as PE, it was coined for that. Guys, if you don't put us in here, these people are going to come and destroy this thing.
So since they're leaving, what's the black man's backup plan?
I can tell you, if white people left, all of them, South Africa is going to be like Zimbabwe. South Africa is going to be like Bujumbura, Sudan. You can see the way we govern. Black people cannot govern themselves. I'm not saying that there is something integral in their DNA, but the modern black person in the last 700 years, you can go to America, the first world country. Look at the state. Some Americans, gangs killing each other, Crips, Bloods. Nothing progressive. You come to South Africa, nothing progressive. We're killing each other. I mean, the taxi industry. Taxi guys, they made Zolabat, Toyota in high ace popular. I only see it here in South Africa. Are you telling me that they could not negotiate in Japan and say, guys, give us a stake here, or else we are moving to another, manufacturer? In the value chain, they are nowhere. The only thing that they know which is Lwela Umzila, taxi route, and killing each other. They don't manufacture tires, the interior of the car. There should be at least, you know what? Hi man, stand umaskande bafethu. Let us have an agreement nama quantum manufacturers ukuthi Tina will provide them radio. I mean, even mafias, they are doing that. Even people who are extorting, they are doing that.
So what are they going to do now, the black people? Now that the white people are leaving, it's not like we can beg them to stay. They're not staying. So what's the recourse that blacks can rely on now?
The recourse. There are so many people in South Africa who've got the brain, who can lead. But unfortunately, they've surrendered the country to the politicians. And the politicians, they are daring. The problem with South Africans, Uguti, we went to school. We believed in this nonsense. Uguti, the pen is mightier than the sword. Do you see police carrying pens? Do you see America buying pens instead of bullets? We believed in that. Uguti, I'm a doctor. I don't want to die. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. And the politicians, they are prepared to go all the way. They are prepared even if it means melusuge. All civilized nations, they behave like that. They educated people who can lead. They are not daring. Check other nationalities. You'll never be a Zionist leader and betray them. You'll be taken out by educated amongst them. You see, when the Soviet collapsed, there were Italian mafias. In America, they said we started to see a new mafia emerging, the Jewish mafia. It was always there. It's just that it's sophisticated. It was hiding itself behind the Italian mafias. But in Russia, the ones that came from Russia, they said we started to see these guys with engineering degrees, PhDs, and they were prepared to go all the way. Bebabulala. They will take you out. They were shooting. That's why we were telling motors abuma bulletproof. The Soviet mafias, Jewish mafias coming. China's darkies, no. I cannot die, guys. That's why one of the problems that we have in South Africa, we've got too many dumb people making babies with other dumb people, having dumb babies. And these babies are a problem. Some of them, they vote the ANC. Some of them, they are harassing us, robbing us. Smart people don't make babies. When they ask for it, Uguti, if you lost your wealth, what would happen of you? What I'll regain it in 2 years? They ask him how? Because of genes. They believes in genes. Nabo Adolf, the genetic pool. There are so many people who are dumb. You go to Ekas, everywhere, this one shouldn't be making a baby. And
But Ike, what do you mean dumb? Dumb
They're
because
dumb.
they didn't go to school?
No, there are those who didn't go to school who need an opportunity. They are dumb people. Naturally, they are dumb.
They couldn't make it in school.
And I can tell you, even if someone is not naturally dumb, but because of the opportunities, lack opportunities, it's very rare in a squatter camp that you can produce a nuclear physicist. If you do, it's going to be once in 20 years. And that person will gain favor of someone outside there, up there, and saying, you know what, this boy or this girl is brilliant, let me take him. But themselves, they will not have the means. So squatter camps are likely to produce criminals. That's why in Lenasia, we no longer have a fence next to the graveyard in Avalon and Lens Cemetery. Because the people in the nearby squatter camps, they are there, they're spiking the roads, they're hitting the windscreens. And if you get stuck that side, forget it. Because they produce that, the social. They say, number one, causes the poverty, social. Politics, economy, lack of access. So if you lack access, what are you going to produce? Because your kid won't go to school. And the people who are doctors, engineers, but I just one child, or I don't want a child. And then who's going to make children? And you're going to support children. Hey, children are expensive, but you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a teacher. Till our mothers had children, 4, 5. We grew up, umunya fagi brugo, mase lilingani lithathwa ilo. Siqokelana so.
Is that the life that you want for your children, though?
I'm comparing, I'm saying people now, they are better off than our mothers. Yet they don't want to make kids. Our mothers had little, they raised us, 4, 5. It was very rare. In that house, there's only one child, Kitsepo, Temba, look. There were many, but 4 or 5, and it feels good at school when you have siblings. You can call them at any time. Even if you don't have money, you've lost your money, they can come and say, man, take your ice cream cheese. It feels good. That's why if you're married, you've got one child, it's torture for your child, because everyone else is going to abuse your child, the cousins, because your child is going to be going, looking for siblings, looking for a brother. Most people who are tortured, their souls tortured. You are looking for brotherhood in the wrong places. I listened to an interview one guy here podcast. I've suffered because I had no brother. I think it was Nimrod. I found out later. And when I found out, my brother was already dead. And that has caused me because I was looking for brotherhood in the wrong places and I was betrayed. But if you've got a sister, noma go blind. They've got a moral duty, a legal duty to assist you. But umuntu will laugh at you. You've got a sister. You can phone your sister and say, Joe, neman go blind, maga grand. That's why I wanted my kids to work together. But kids of today, they think otherwise. Look at the Indians. They make kids to work for the family, which it was the same. Ngathi bosebenze ejardini edlini makuthengisa amagwinya, you did your BCom, mawubuya la magwinya lawa must go international, they must go viral. You now you've got education, you must make sure ukuthi le tombolo leli liba yipizza. Like cattle, if you treat them well and train them well, kids are supposed to come back. I had one lady that I knew, she committed suicide. She said, my son said, Mama, I'm not gonna work for anyone, I'm going to work for you because you made me. Ask Indian kids, Vasit. You say, why are you not making a CV? You're doing it 4th year. No, I'm going to work at home. Which is the normal way. Jewish kids, they know what I'm going to be plugged into my cousin's company. Omonye engineer, omonye lawyer. They work together. It's only darkies. The more you become educated, you move away from you. Look at me. My brother has got a daughter, is a lawyer. I've got my daughter, Nai, is into law, Nami. We've got other. Why can't we work together? In spite of the differences, we can't work together. Instead, we are empowering other people. Imagine if my daughter worked for me or we work together, my brother's daughter works for me, and we've got other people in the family. This one does medicine. It's all there. We build up one big building. Like Indians, we live in a communion. That's what they do.
But why don't you then start that for your family?
There's so many things, Tina, we cannot look beyond. You see, one thing I like about other races, even if they fight, they come together, and they shake hands. Tina, we cannot. Ngapha kuno baby mama ukuzondile from day one, utshele nomntwana ukuthi angimfuni kabi lo. And we cannot look beyond that. But other people, they look, what is the common vision? Where can we mend ways and work together? I don't have to like you. Negotiation and agreements is not only amongst people who like each other, but we cannot look beyond that. So, but that does not excuse the one who's supposed to lead to take responsibility. That's why in South Africa I blame Gakulu men. I blame South African men. Because for a long time, we've been blaming white people. They don't want us. We've got political power. Why can't we change all these things as is for now? Why can't we build like Afrikaners did, like Indians did? Empower yourselves. We can't. We're blaming feminism. I mean, feminism, we allowed them. We blame alphabet community. Who allowed them? South African man doesn't have power. The law is against him because he made that law. Religion doesn't support him. Other nationalities, Afrikaners, everything was coordinated. That's why I mentioned the Prude Bond. You know, Prude Bond, the way they manufactured these policies, you know, they tailor-made them for a particular purpose, which they realized. When they say you cannot occupy a house, gain access until you are married, they knew what they were doing. You cannot be a pastor, ungashadanga. Look at now. Any fool ninkampump can come and say I'm a bishop and then abuse our children, you know, in the church and impregnate them all. Abanye izangoma maseba frustrated. Amabhunu be another thing. Abanye izangoma and emfazi wakho makoba isangoma, they're gonna impregnate abukobela. That's what they do there. It's a sexual part, it's orgies. You know, izangomeni ama orgies, the kobela naye ngapha matwasa. So amabhunu, there are certain jobs you would not get until you are married. There are certain places you not access. They ask you for a baptism certificate because they knew if you're a Christian, 12 apostolic, okay, fine, Catholic. They knew you've gone through certain rituals, certain processes to make sure you are compliant, you are fit and proper. Not now. Even when they gave people jobs, somewhere people will say it's oppressive. They made sure that you're a doctor, you marry a nurse. Because they understood that women cannot stand power.
But
they get bored easily. When they have money, it's like I'm independent, I'm free, they run away. Tina as guys, when we have money, there's nothing pleasurable, exciting, you know, for a man to say, I built this for my family. Look at them, they are happy. You hear men all the time saying, I bought this wife of mine a car, the house, you know, what does she want? We love that. We love to provide. Take providence away from us. You know, yeah, we are depressed. Of course, you don't want to provide for people who are masculine, who are arguing with you. Now there are two men in the house. It becomes difficult. We want a feminine woman who does, you know, mama sendlini mfethu, I grand, you know, my woman, my queen. We love that. But women, when they become, you know, self-sufficient, self-sustaining, they become independent, they move away from you. They want all those things, sexual liberations and groove nights, girls' nights.
We are in August. It's women.
I don't care. We must correct women. Black women cannot be corrected. The only person...
August.
No, I don't care. Every year of the month. Black women cannot listen, even to God. They cannot be corrected. The only person that they listen to in South Africa is a Nigerian pastor or a pimp. They listen to a white male boss. They listen to a sangoma. And all these people are abusing them.
But I shared the comment on the group chat to say that there was a white man who said that it's not only black women. Did you guys see that?
Listen, I didn't see that. And then, like now, because of social media, people are having access of what other people are doing. I mean, like for an example, growing up, I knew that colored women were loyal. They would die for you. But not anymore because they have adopted all the nonsense that they see their black counterparts are doing. You know, they have, colored women. Now, hey, allowance, girlfriend, this, and they want to be, on their own, you're controlling. And how can I protect you if I cannot control you? They're calling you masajani, toxic masculinity. Colored women, they were, when they love, they would die for you. But not these latest, because they've copied their black counterparts. Even white women, they're becoming like that now, of which is scary. But one thing that I still like about whites, which is still there, they don't elevate sluttiness. If, we are uncouth, they will isolate you. If you are Marilyn Monroe, if you are Kim Kardashian, once that one will go through the crack, but they will not celebrate you. Black women, they house you. They celebrate Zota about who she's free because many of them, they are corrupt. They're living vicariously through that person. When this person is doing all the social ills, they like that. That's why when you ask women today, what is your fetish, your fantasy? All of them, they want to be gang banged. All of them, you ask them, what is your fantasy? I'm saying that you ask them, you can do a stat. When you say, what is your fetish, what is your fantasy, they imagine 3 men, 4 men. You know, Tina guys, you don't think like that. They imagine to be hanging, go 50 shades on the, you know.
It's the same thing. What do men imagine? What's their thing?
It's fine. Men and women are different. Women, there is no player of a woman. Women, we value the record of the woman because she's a childbearer. We must protect the woman. A woman cannot compare herself to men in sexuality.
But I have a question for you.
Yes.
When you are speaking about women, right? You should see how, like,
you know what?
changes.
Because you're aggravating me.
No, you're so passionate. You're emotional.
Because
the other day you called me emotional.
Because now
right?
you're aggravating
it's you.
me.
No.
Okay.
It's Women's Month.
I don't care whether
Give
it's a
us some
woman's
grace.
year, whether it's a woman's decade, but women, especially black women, we need to correct them. They are out of control. They cannot be told. They do as they please. That's why households are dying. There will be no future generation because if we go according to women, it's all about my happiness first. Even if you say I want
it's
your
not
child,
like there is future generation
like,
now with
go and
men.
adopt. I know, it's my happiness first, and they come back after divorce when the body count is very high, and then they realize that they made a mistake.
Like, what have the black men done during apartheid? Right, the black men
has liberated you.
No,
the black man has built houses.
You were saying it yourself.
Has
that
built railways for you to move.
But what did you say about Shaka Zulu? You were talking about the white man.
Yes.
What did the black men do?
That's a discussion that us as men can have in isolation with guys.
But then why don't you give the black women an opportunity?
Listen, Tina, as black men, we can talk, we say, guys, we have not done enough, but we have done something. We must criticize each other. Which is to protect the black woman from foreigners, to protect the black woman from stress. The black woman must not be overworked because she's a childbearer. She's, she's there to guarantee our succession. We must protect our black queens because we are not the same. Black feminists can cry and shout. We're not the same. That's why if a woman can come and say, I slept with Jay-Z, I slept with Mbeki, the value goes down immediately, irrespective could you sleep with a billionaire. But if a young man can slay, a Kim Kardashian, the value goes up because we are not the same. We value men according to what they bring to the table, but we value women according to their past. If their past is dirty, we can't touch her.
I think it used to be like that, but it's not like that.
It will always be like that. As guys, when you look for a woman, we don't care whether she's a doctor. We don't look for her money. We look for a woman who's not going to embarrass us. A woman who's not known. What is the joy? What is the joy of having a woman who slept with Skomota, slept with Dan Lewis, slept with Jacob Zuma? What is the joy of that? Because we pride. Let me tell you, the biggest swagger for a man is the price of his woman. We want a woman who's not accessible. Even if you're gone, I know what no one can touch my woman. Because we are like that, we are visual beings. We mark terrain. And, we mark terrain, we are visual beings. We are physical beings.
But
so,
the young man of today is not like what you were describing.
Because he's been feminized. The young man of today has been taken out of sequence. Some opportunities are not there. That's why you find
by who? By black women?
By politicians. I blame these men in politics because the guys in politics, many of them, they've got homosexual tendencies. They don't know our culture. Some of them, they left South Africa when they were young. When they come back, they don't understand how we operate. The religious institutions that were here, the cultural groups that were here, they came in, with this devilish Freemasons agenda. They implemented everything. They went to world bodies and implemented everything. They killed us. So a young man who's growing up now at the age of 40, a young man of 40, he wants a woman who can provide. It's a disgrace. Even now, if you're with a woman, she's paying, swapping a restaurant, now you feel, some they give you a cut underneath because she knows that it's wrong. If you're driving a woman's car and people saying a nice car, you feel it now.
So equality,
Equality of what? The equality.
Gender equality.
Yes, gender equality.
Listen. Equality it must be quantified. Let me give you an example. If they are robbers, I cannot give my woman a gun. Need to go and shoot the criminals. And this thing of equality, the inequality. Sometimes inequality is quality. Like for an example, when people talk. No, let me teach you something. I'll teach you something. No, don't laugh. I'm teaching something. Sometimes inequality is quality. Let me give you an example, and I'll make it easier. Discrimination. There is a fair discrimination and unfair discrimination. It's legislated. If I said to women, let them play boxing, all of them, there are no boundaries. No woman will become a world champion. So therefore, there must be a discrimination with women are treated differently. Naguma athletics, taking into account their physique. Certain jobs, I cannot expect a woman to lift, a crane, lifting cement and all that. It's a discrimination, which is fair. In the favor of woman. If biasness, there's a biasness which is for you against me. That is still fair. Because of my strength, we look at individuality. There's a biasness which will favor me. Unfortunately, when it comes to marriage, because we want to make sure that our gene, it's, taken care of and there is no mix-up. There's an immaculate conception. Immaculate conception, back in the days, it meant that a woman slept only with you. There is no confusion in paternity. Like now, the highest paternity fraud, black women highest. Highest HIV, it's highest. Black women, you can check the stats. Check the stats.
Some of them don't even know their kids.
Paternity fraud as a man. Paternity fraud, highest the woman, black woman. Cheating, divorce rate, highest the woman. Regrets after divorce, black woman. We must protect them. Women are like children because sometimes they don't know what they want.
Women are like children.
Yes, they're like children.
I think it's the opposite. I think men are
when
like
they are
children.
working, they want to stay at home. When they are at home, they mess up with the delivery boy. When they do this, they get bored because you don't take me. You take them out, they don't know what they want. They get bored easily because they've got hormones. That's why most women who are divorcing is like, I'm bored. A temporary thing which you no longer fulfills me. They go to another guy who's also having his own stages. And then now I be bored nalapo and how many bodies can you collect along the way? Thina siyaqinisela ku-relationship kukubi kunamadoda ahlalayo labathi for 2 years is not being having the conjugal rights but uhleli uhappy uzitshela ukuthi yazi nabantwana bami ba-right kuyoze kulunga. But women, the first thing, they want validation. Ubona nala umuntu okhona ucompare nama-DMs. You're comparing me. I'm here next to you, but you're comparing me with someone who's saying nice picture in your DM, and this person is in Alexander in a shack. You don't know how this person is living, but you want to compete with me now. I'm wanted somewhere, I can get better. Your friends, you go to your friends, they say you deserve better to me, And when you go there in the streets, there is no better. That person who's better is also having problems. Some they are married, some they are serial killers, some they are abusive. And then you come here with blue eyes, you are traumatic, lots of trauma, you want to come back. And the next thing, now you're going to overburden me. Maybe you're even carrying his babies, Moses at all. We must protect women from themselves.
Well, right?
Yes.
You have a mother, a sister, and daughters, right? It's Women's Day.
Yeah,
right? What would you like? No, I understand your point when it comes to relationships, and I'm over that because I don't want anybody.
I must make sure that my children don't follow influencers like Ike Khumalo, Bonang, Peltusi, all these influencers who are up and down among Nigerians because they don't tell our kids what is it that they do? How do they look as if they are winning when they are not? They're dependent on these men who are abusing them. They must tell these kids, I'm selling my body, they don't. So a guy like me comes in and say, what you're looking at, it's a fairy tale. I've been in an acting world. It doesn't pay that much for you to buy a Range Rover. Presenting job don't pay you this much. Endorsing a product don't pay you this much. Many of them, they're being used by politicians. They're used by gangsters. We've seen many of them, they go to Dubai, posting and then they influence even our women. Now they think, oh, this is the life. They want to be like that. When they get there, they'll be told, here. You must lower your panty. That's why in the ANC, most women in the ANC, they will not open up the industry. They will not open up space because many of them, they've been abused. It's like this one was joining with this one is a child with this one. It's never somebody clean from nowhere. If she comes in, you must lower your panties. So when they see a young girl, my daughter wanting to come in, she must also lose something because Nathi says Shayu. You heard to Mabuza one day. Wathi lento le ngeke sinike noma ubani sesilimele thina mfethu umuntu samlimaza sibuya kude nalento silimele. That's the mentality ukuthi you know what I've lost a lot here. These men have been passing me around. Wena ufike nje bathi ubani ubabakho ulethu angeke naye makadliwe rejiwe le rona. That's their mentality. So me, I come in and say that is wrong. I want my kids to follow a road, a righteous, and they must listen to me, irrespective of what the world say. I'm right. I'm their father. My mother did well. My mother did well. And our generation, of women and the ones before, our fathers married virgins. Today, people, they come, I'm the prize. I'm the princess. You ask, what is it that you bring that hasn't been taken from you by other men who are lesser than me? For nothing. Nothing. I'm the prize. Bring me to the table. You to the table, you've got trauma. You've got kids from Nigeria, Nairobi. Bring me to the table. So now we know what's supposed to bring in the table. I must bring in money. I must bring providence. I must build you a house. I must make sure that you are safe. Most women, even the beauty is faded. Yes.
Yes, I wasn't done, right? So I said that you have a mother, sisters-in-law, daughters, you co-parenting with your baby mamas, and you have aunties, and all of these women that you have, your colleagues and everybody else, right? That's involved in your life, right? In your life.
Yes.
Women, this is, right? It's Women's Day. What would you like to say to them? Something very positive, please. Your partners, if you have everybody.
They must go back. Go past the women, the quality of women that we had.
I think I said positive.
Positive.
Oh,
They must go back. The women who march to union building, the quality of those women, and emulate them, mimic them. Those women were not having tattoos on their bums, half naked, selling their bodies. They were not. They were classified, dignified. That's why we respect Muslim women. Women bakashembe makavela la ukuthi women from ZCC. Mabavela la women from ZCC. Women bakwamlise. Mabavela la. Mabajive. Kuba mnandi. Ukuthi nangumama. Unlike this generation yama tattoo nama beauty piercing.
What would you like to say to your mom on Women's Day?
She's done well. She brought me here on earth. I've contributed positively. She mustn't regret being here.
And your sisters?
My sisters, they must continue to work hard for their kids. They've done well because they come from that old school generation. They must never be afraid to speak out when they see the injustice happening. And we are family.
And the people that you co-parent with, the women that you co-parent with?
The woman that I co-parent with, and I wish to tell them they've done a great job. I've not been there all the time, physically. Financially, I've tried my best. I've starved myself. I'm the type of a father, I will not buy a can of Coke and I've got kids where I can buy a 2-liter. I would not eat money with slave queens, knowing what my children are suffering. Even now, my car is somewhere. It needs attention, the engine. When I have money, I'll think of them first. My car will come last. So my kids comes first. And I give thanks to their mothers because they are there full time, to push certain values. because, girl children, they are treasure and they are very vulnerable, especially now where there are opportunities all over. So I wish them, would continue that way. And where I've sinned, one of the mistakes that I did, or one mistake that I did, is not to marry any of them. That I take full accountability. Yeah. That one will chow me for a long time because it is not right for a man to impregnate a woman and don't marry that person. That is wrong. So I wish there was his term. I'm reconsidering his term. I'm reconsidering. In the past, I didn't have his term in mind, but now, since women they get bored is they want to open to two song on
Okay.
because you open one year the warm up.
Okay. That was beautiful before his time, right? And
who convinced black people look at all these things about alphabet community 50 shades, they are okay, but polygamy is wrong. The numbers don't balance. In polygamy, there was a reason why, because men were dying in war. Ukuthi man umntana abantu asimqoqeni naye. Angithi ukhuluma nomama ukuthi hayi nanga umntwana mina asimthatheni naye azoba usiswa. Sivumelana.
But that was beautiful what you said about them. And your daughters?
My daughters, they must learn ukuthi kids bafana nenkomo. We must work together. The purpose ukuthi ube nabantwana, other than you teaching them, ukuthi where we can, we must work together. We don't live emhlabeni, in separate departments. We are one chain. If my daughter is successful, I am successful. Namang successful is successful. If my daughter has been to China, there's no need for me to go to China. I've seen China, through my daughter. So we are one continuous beings. You cannot be saying that you are rich. Kota ubabako, we are hlupheka. That's wrong. We are a team. We must work together where we can. Obviously, human beings are quarrelsome. At some point, soxabana, but we must be able to rise above that and assist one another. One of us maga in distress, we must come in. Njengoba kwenziwe ukuthi makushoniwe kunomsebenzi kuvele ingozi, we come together, and my kids must know there are no half sisters, half brothers, no half. There's no person who half. They are sisters and brothers. In Africa, there is no half sister, no half brother. We are all brothers and sisters. I grew up, knowing ukuthi my father, a brother. Only later I found out, no, that's a cousin. Bazalwa abubaba bawuntana bobantu. Umntana umuntu oyi-one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'd also like to say to the kids that they have to finish school.
Yeah, they must finish
if they
school.
do not, yes.
They must finish school. It is important. And they mustn't be promiscuous. And I wish that they don't drink alcohol, because umfazi ophuza utshwala kuyafana nje nokuthi utshale isihlahla ku-4-way stop or freeway. Munye nomunye uyayikhela nje. Utshwala buyamoshana. There's puzza face. People baba loose. People have been infected. Some have been raped. Some have been hijacked because they were drunk. And the risk is very high for a woman nowadays. I mean, we've opened up to the world. In South Africa, it's opened up to all these mafias. We've got the Mexican cartels. We've got human traffickers. Gulama joint, they're there selling drugs. Before you know it, I've dated a couple of women. I think 3 or 4.
Oh.
No. I'm 3. You know how traumatic it is when somebody said, Ike, I understand why you don't want alcohol. I was drinking with my friends. I was spiked. I woke up in a hotel room with this guy. I'm naked. It's traumatic. Some of them, they were raped while they were drunk. This guy took advantage. But if there was no alcohol, the risk would have been reduced. I'm not saying being a giver corner. There are always, morons out there. We need to deal now. But there were reasons why amasonto were exist that enforce certain laws. But amasonto amanje now. So I comply because bafuna membership. Akusesela amasonto aqala uyazi mabathi akwenziwa lokho umthetho yabo kaSolomon uthi umthetho kaJoshua uthi. So I wish that they follow the olden,
And last but not least, your future potential wife.
My future potential wife. You're putting me under. You always ask me about this.
It's Women's Day!
My future potential wife. I hope she understands, Uguchi. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a perfect person. In all my mistakes, I'm one person. When you're with me, I will die for you. I'll walk through fire. But unfortunately, women, they take advice from people who are outside. They take, counsel from people who don't know you. And I hope my future wife understands, Uguti, in spite of my mistakes, somewhere I'm going to make mistakes. I'm a human being. But like that song, who's this guy? Brian Adams. Everything I do it for you. I hope she understands that. And because if not, there's nothing as painful as a man to see the woman that you love. You wanted to spend a life now. Maybe you separated. She's now with the wrong person. Blue eye. This was my queen. I held her in high esteem. Look at her now. She's not valued the way I valued her. But because people nowadays, they chase validation, and they judge you in the now. I hope she knows. It sometimes rains in paradise. This life is mysterious. I might be struggling now financially. Tomorrow is a brand new day. It can be a brand new day today. Tomorrow, go by hard times. She must know we fight together. We are a team. So that is life. Life in jail. So I hope, yeah.
Do we want to say Happy Women's Day and Happy Women's Month?
Yes, I will say that Happy Women's Day and Happy Women's Month, because without women, we can't be. I'm not Andrew Tate. I'm not Kevin Samuels who's saying we need men. We can survive on our own. No, we need women.
True.
Women, they need us. We need each other. True. That's why sometimes we must have robust debates and correct each other. Now, we must correct because sometimes not we don't think. There are two body parts that don't work at the same time. When one works, the other one is not working. So if you have a strong woman, there are so many women, some in my past. That's a negative about being a player. Because as a man, as you grow older, you tend to look back and you say, I had a good woman there. Had I had this woman in my life, I'll be rich, I'll be sufficient. You need a strong woman. I mean, even if you check in the scriptures, most guys who were successful, they had a strong woman as an advisor. That's why God created, Eve. So we need that, Abe advisor yakho, ahlale nawe, azi ukuthi that's my king, nami ngisho that's my queen, and raise kids together and win together. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I've got so much love to give. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you gonna be getting the women in your life gifts? Are you getting them flowers? Or do you just not believe in gifting on Women's Day?
Women's Day. I do believe in gifts, but with me, most things they've got to make sense. I think logically. I don't think like women. Certain things, like birthdays. Mina bengokuya esikoleni ubuye kusasa bakutshela ukuthi yesterday it was your birthday. Not believe on those things. Sinasikoleni ngama birthday, indoda ina birthday. So certain things, they are not engraved in my head, but you have to do it. I never understood why must I buy flowers. I say flowers and women, the connection, but sometimes you must realize good women, ne logic, they don't mix. I'm telling you, women have asked me the most ridiculous things that I understand which from nowhere. So, but sometimes you've got to do the most of stupid things. Relationships are like that. relationships are like that. You cannot be right all the time. Sometimes you must be wrong to be right. Sometimes you must tell a woman, a woman can come to you and tell you, I'm going to sleep. When it's now, I'm still watching the game. Abu, after 10 minutes, you must understand, Guti. You must join her. But when in your logical sense, I mean, you went to sleep. I'm not falling asleep. Why must I sleep when you're sleeping? Of course, that's, rational enough, making sense to you. But Magati, hey, babe, Senyola. It means
I'm sleepy too.
Yeah,
I'm also going to sleep.
Yeah, I'm also going to sleep. So, but we think maybe with the right brain. So women, they think, they've got their own world. I remember I bought flowers during Valentine's, but someone said to me, "Okay, I don't need flowers." Then I realized, good, these flowers are needed. I went to, because somebody says, no, it's fine if you don't buy me kids flowers. But I realized, no, that fine is not coming from a good place.
You're getting smarter.
Yeah, so that is that. So women, they are very crazy. Omunye wathi silele la wathi baby. Ngathi wathi ngicela ungikhombe ngesibhamu. Sibhamu. Ngathi sibhamu. What is, ngicela ungikhombe, do you have a gun? Point a gun at me. Ngacabanga ukuthi lesibhamu esingadubula ngemistake. Athi no, ngithi so manje ngiyambuza the relationship is bamathi ngifuna kube ngathi ngithathe ngenkani vele yabo ngathi angithi manje baya fantasize. That's why some people wants to be choked, and when they cannot mix that with pleasure, to choke me. But choking, it's whoa. But about to choke me, otherwise it won't be nice if you don't choke. Let me tell you something in closing. Women like Beauty and the Beast. Today's a guy we see a beast. A woman sees a lover because women want to fix, they want to conquer. Cabanga a woman in King Kong. Yeah, cabanga the King Kong must mbulala. Yeah, now cabanga to fix the King Kong. Sometimes they want a bit of drama. If you are too clean, they want to fix something. They want a vavavum. That's why Makutumana was left by Nandipa. Because sometimes they say you're boring. They want to be engaged. They want to fight for you. That's why women, they want a man who's wanted by other women. Women used to pray. Eventually, he ended up here. So that is that. So it's a thin world, for us, traditional guys, because you don't know what to, what to do. Because now in social media, there's ghosting, there's, playing hard to get, the speed of your text. If you answer first, it's a good thing. So you need to, keep up. No contact. Who's going to blink first? Yeah, but that's that. But other than that, in conclusion, I don't know, anything you still want to add as I close?
No, I think we'd like to say
Happy Women's Day.
Yay.
Yeah, other than that, I'm not used to this thing of what is subscribe. I normally say that it will be difficult for me to be a politician because I'm not used to say, vote for me, please, But, like now, you see, Mabati, I have to do it because it's a team. I cannot bring myself all the time. So subscribe, comment, share, and what else?
Like.
Yay. Peace and out.